Welcome to the Pro Cheerleading Podcast. This is the only podcast that gives you a raw and unfiltered perspective of what it's really like to be a professional cheerleader. Whether you're currently on a pro team, an alumni, or really curious about what it takes to become a pro cheerleader, the Pro Cheerleading Podcast gives you all the inside scoop and hot topics in the pro cheerleading industry and in-depth interviews of current and former cheerleaders. I'm your host, Mhkeeba. Join me every Wednesday as I reveal the truth behind the Poms. Welcome, Shaniah Randall, to the Pro Cheerleading Podcast. Officially so excited to have this amazing Las Vegas Raiderette Pro Bowl cheerleader here with us today.
Welcome, what an intro. Thank you for having me. Never gets old hearing that. Never gets old.
We're going to get into all things Pro Bowl for sure. But I'm just so excited to officially just have a conversation. We met officially in person at Pro Action. Didn't really have enough time to talk, obviously, and so
busy trying to breathe.
I still can't believe you guys were able to show up at that reception that they had because you had been booking it and dancing all day long. So there's so many things that I've wanted to talk to you about, to get to know you. Again, nobody really has their own personal websites with bio information. So I'm going to be I want to know everything about you as much as
No worries. Lay it on me. You will soon find out. I'm extremely vocal. So whatever questions you have, I'm happy to answer. And like I said, just really happy to be here with you.
Okay, well, let's get into it. I'm excited. So tell me, so now we're going to just talk we're old homegirls because I just feel
let's do it.
Where are you from?
I am from Sacramento, California, Sac native, born and raised. So that's in Northern California for people who don't know. I've been there my entire life, went to college there, all that fun stuff.
And so tell me about your dance background. Were you dancing at the age of 2, or what's the situation that kind of launched your professional dance career?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I always consider myself a late bloomer when it comes to the dance world. So I did start like most do when we're really young. I think about 4 or 5 is when I started. I did ballet and tap. Not gonna lie, wasn't my thing. Never loved it. I have an older brother. We're very close in age. So whatever he was doing, I'm with it. He's not dancing, me either. Let's do something else. So I actually grew up playing sports. So I played soccer for 12 years, ran track, dabbled in all of T-ball, the things that your mom puts you into. But I really gravitated towards soccer and track. So I wasn't really what did I run?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I was a sprinter. So I did the 1, the 2, 4x1, and then my coach made me do the 4x4 because he hates me. So I had to do that relay too. So track was my thing. Soccer was my number one passion, but I was on the competitive team and we always had to have monthly dues for traveling. Got really expensive for my mom. So that's when we pivoted to track because coaches liked me then because I was pretty quick, obviously, hence the races I would run in track. So I wasn't really reintroduced to dance until middle school because it had to be an elective of mine. So I was all right, I got a little something. Let me just go ahead and just try that easy A. Yeah. And that's when I really fell in love with dance again. And I started, making sure that each year I had a dance elective. And then when I got to high school, we got to do recitals, all that fun stuff. Really, that's when my training actually started. But I was still running track at the time. So just to make a really long story short, I got into this weird accident my junior year, sledding in Tahoe. Weird things happen. I'm okay, but I wasn't able to do any sports for about a month. It wasn't anything serious, just a little bit of internal bleeding, no big deal. But in my lower back, so I was just no problem. But obviously 30 days not doing any physical activity, I had to take it really easy. That's a long time for someone who's running track. Was just my junior year of high school.
I had shin splints when I ran track, and it took me out for. And it's not the most serious disease, wow, where's my brain?
No, it's okay. Shin splints are real, though. When they come, they're there, So I feel you. Yeah. But I will say, with all that had happened in that like short period of time, like this month of time where I wasn't doing anything, I didn't miss track. I did track because I was good, not because I was passionate, but what I missed was dancing. And I remember talking to my track coach and having this like come to Jesus moment where I'm like, I'm not happy. I know best, let me do what I want to do. And I remember his exact words to me were, you will never make it as a dancer. And I feel like for that moment on, I was like, yeah, okay, bet. Challenge accepted. Yeah. So I'm not going to give him any credit, but I felt like for me, like having that happen, that sledding accident happened in Tahoe really was like a turning point in my life to where like I was able to decide like you have two choices to make. Pursue a career in track. I'm sure like you'll go far, maybe you'll run in college, who knows, or take a shot at something that you didn't always do and just see what happens. And thank God I did that, So yeah, exactly. So that's how my journey started. And then the elective classes were just like jazz, like ballet, hip hop, like those kind of things. So not real training like in a studio setting, but my school was a performing arts school. So I think I really did get good training for what I had.
So what did you study when you were in college?
So in college, I studied communications. I had a concentration in public relations. So yeah, that's what I went to school for. Nothing special.
Okay. I was thinking of like your performing arts tie-in and like what you were.
Yeah, no. But I did dance at my college. So I went to Sacramento State. So I did dance there. So that was nice. And then always we had studios to go to. Obviously, like in college, you're now like an adult, so you have to go to like adult studios. But luckily, Sacramento, I mean, I feel like we are really evolving when it comes to the dance world, especially for adults like myself who want to like audition for pro teams. So luckily, there were like small studios that were really starting to grow to where I could have training there with like other pro dancers as well as my training at Sac State.
So when did you decide like, okay, I'm done at Sac State, I'm going to try to take this to that pro level? Like, were you feeling prepared for it, or was it kind of something?
Yeah, so that's funny. So Sac State, actually, pro came first. So I actually auditioned for the Sacramento Lions, which was like a semi-pro team in Sac. And I had danced at our junior college at the time. And I was like the captain. Like, I thought I just was, that be right, like I'm the one, I'm for sure gonna audition for this semi-pro team, like I got it in the bag. And a lot of the girls that I was like a captain of, we all auditioned together. And I will never forget, like vividly remember this day like it was yesterday. We had the auditions were open to the public, so my mom's there, my mom's at everything. So she's there like phone in hand watching her baby, right? Like first time she's ever really seen me dance like in this setting outside of like my recitals in high school. And we know how the audition, like calling of the numbers work. Like they're going to go in numerical order. If your number gets skipped over, that's it, sis, have a seat. So it's like final auditions. We all just did our thing. We're all standing up there. They're announcing the numbers. The girls are coming down. They're holding like their yellow roses. Like it's so special. And my mother is still here. Big smile, camera on. And I'm like, cut the camera. It's like, cut the camera, sis. Like my number has been skipped over. Mortified. I remember just being like, so like, we'll never forget. So this is March of 2011. So then her and I were like, okay, like this is not the end, right? Let's figure something else out. And I've always wanted to do pro, but I just felt like I needed something under my belt first. And that's where I think semi-pro teams are really great just in themselves. Like I don't think it should be a stepping stone. I think being on a semi-pro team is enough. However, for me, I was like, I know that I had different dreams, but it was in my home city. It just felt like, this is what I want to do. But they had different plans for me. No problem. So then that's when we decided, let's go ahead and like audition for Raiders. Like I've always been a Raiders fan. Like, let's make it work. And so we just kept it to ourselves. She's like, you're not going to tell anybody. We're going to keep it to us. I'm like, cool. Bet. So it's just our little secret. And then I remember prelim rounds. So this is April 2011 now. Her and I got up at like 3:00 in the morning so I can get ready. Sacramento's about an hour and a half from Oakland. We drive all the way down to Oakland. God bless her heart. She's like sitting in the car the entire time. Like prelims is a long day. And then came out. I'm like, mommy, we're going to finals. So then fast forward to the next week, we're like learning the dance that we're going to do at finals. This is a 2-day learning of the dance and cleaning of the dance. She drives with me right after work, sits in the car. that day was really funny. Like, I can't wait to talk about how to prepare for auditions, because think about the time. This is 2011. There's not a lot, like, Google, YouTube, that's all just like now starting, right? There's not a lot out there. So I'm like Googling,
year,
like
2011. So I am with you on the timing and how different.
For us. Okay, so we meant to connect. So yeah, so you've been in there looking a mess. Like, you only had so much to go off of. So with that being said, going into Tuesday, I'm thinking we're just learning choreo. That's it. So I'm sure you can imagine how I look to learn choreo. So we get there early because, traffic. And I see the girls start to come out, and like they're decked out, like hair curled, makeup, all the things. Me, no, just like how I look right now. I was like, oh shoot. We like run to Target. She like buys me a bunch of makeup. I'm like freaking out in the car, like dramatic as all, like doing all my makeup so fast. Get in there. It was fine. Obviously Thursday, when I had to come back for day 2, I knew better. Was ready to show up and show out. And then obviously for that final audition day, which was a Sunday, she was waiting in the car for me all day long. And then I was so cool to be able to. Already. Oh yeah. God bless her. So yeah, and then obviously I was announced a part of the Raiderettes in 2011. So that actually came first. And then before I ever went to Sac State, and that's where my dance journey really started, in this up and down decade of my life.
You did the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
For how many seasons?
Yeah, so I actually only did it for 1 season. So going into 2012, like my second year, my vet year, I just let the audition nerves get the best of me and got cut going into that season. So hard. I mean, I look back at it now and I just like wish. I'm so glad we are connected.
This is what I'm saying. I felt like there were going to be like so many things, but same thing.
So many signs pointing us together. So yeah, so I mean, I just going into your second year of auditions is never easy, and I feel like I wish someone would have prepped me mentally how to prepare. But I took that cut extremely very unwell. I was not happy at all. Like 6 months MIA from social media. Like I said, I was very dramatic in my early 20s. Like, everything was working against me. So yeah, and it stayed like that for the next few years. Like, I just could not hear yes back from this team. And I just like didn't understand. I'm like, I don't get it. Like, how do you hear yes one season and then you don't hear yes again? And I feel like when you get cut going into a team that you haven't been on, you're like, okay, no worries. Like, I have nothing to lose. It's fine. I can come back next season. But I feel like as a veteran to get cut, like after your rookie season, you're almost like, okay, like obviously something went wrong during my rookie year. Like you have all these emotions that you're really trying to process, but also you really want to be back on the team, right? Like for me, like dance was my identity, and like my biggest fears were now unraveling. Like, great, he was right. Like, not going to make it again. So then, right, I was going to go back to that. So then in 2014, I remember, I think that year, they had their auditions like super last minute. It was like June or July. And then same thing happened again. They're like, nope, sorry, sis. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, you've had a season with them. A lot of people would want a season, right? That's like so much to be proud of and appreciative of. So maybe like that's your story. Like, you became a professional NFL cheerleader with like really like little to no dance experience on the level of the girls that you were competing and auditioning with. Let's move on. So then my friend gave me this idea. She's like, hey girl, I'm going to the Warrior auditions. This is 2014. I'm like, okay, like wasn't planning on that, but sure. I'm like, let's just go. What everyone says to themselves, let's just go get the vibe of auditions, get the process. The next year, let's come back and really kill it. So yeah, so no, actually the exact opposite happened. Like, as the days were going and we were like making the rounds, I was like, oh, like this might actually happen. So 2011 was my rookie season with Raiders. Cut 2012, 11, on. We don't even know those numbers. 2014 was my rookie season with Warriors. Yeah, and then I went back to Raiders in 2016 and have been with them consecutively for the last 6 years.
So how many years with the Warriors then?
Oh, just one and done.
So yeah, I thought I missed one and done, and then you made it back. Okay, so 2016 was the time back.
So 2016 was my comeback year. Came back strong. And I remember that audition like it was yesterday, very much similar to how much I remember my original second year audition. And at that point in my life, like, I just felt like emotionally you are a different person. Like, I can definitely say going into like my season even with Warriors, like I still felt like I was struggling with like not being confident like in myself and my abilities. Like, as much as you don't want to compare yourself to your teammates, it's really easy to do so. Like, I mean, you could tell someone like, you're great, you're on the team for a reason, but like you truly have to believe that within yourself too. So I feel like going into 2016's audition season, I remember I had a conversation with the director at the time in January, and I was like, hi, hey again, here's what I'm thinking. And she was super supportive. Like, she would come to a lot of the Warriors games, and she would like text me like, you look so good out there, this and that. But I gave her a call in January of 2016, and I was like, hi, like, these are my thoughts. Like, you know, is there anything that you want to see from me going into this audition season? And I think if you have a good relationship with a director or someone within that organization, that's a great question to ask them. Like, you need to know, you know, it might not be like the answers that you want to hear, and it's not going to be a ticket in the door, but it's nice to know what other people want to see of you. And honestly, she didn't have anything bad to say. She was just like, you know, like, who you are as a person, like, we need that back on this team. Like, we miss like someone with your heart, like your energy, like your personality. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll take it. And then, you know, just went right back into audition prep. And I remember going into the audition, I'm just like, you have had a great dance career if it ends today. Like, you've had one season in NFL, one season in NBA. In your NBA season, you have a championship ring that sits beautifully in your mom's nightstand. So she can have it. But, you know, like amazing things. So, yeah. So for me, I think I was finally at a point where I would be okay with either or. And I feel like that's why my audition was so great, because I was just confident in knowing that I'm going to walk out, and the yes to me is that I performed my best self. And that's all you can do. But luckily for me, it was like double yeses, because I felt good. And then they felt good enough to say, whatever my number was at the time, come on back.
But don't you think it's like that perfect union of like you feeling that way about yourself? I feel like that was the same thing that got me back on the team after being cut with the Seahawks. Like, when I returned, it was just like, you know what? I'm showing up as my best self. If we're not on the same page about it, I'm going to be good. Like, I'm at peace with it. I know I feel good about who I am, how I'm performing, and we're just going to lay it all out, and I'm good either way. And I just feel like that energy, I just think it reads off of you. And it's not like this, like, I have an attitude, you better pick me, or
not
it's
at
your
all.
loss kind of thing.
You're
It's
just
not
confident,
that, just
you know?
Confidence, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I just feel like you kind of just like the way how you walk, the way how you move, like, you know that you're a different dancer when the nerves are getting the best of you. Like, you're tense, you can feel it. And then when you're just confident, you just know, like, this is the best that I can do. This is the best that I am. And I'm okay with that. So yeah, and honestly, like, I look back at it now and where I am at today, let's just say I got to go back in 2012 and I had the same amount of years that I have now consecutively, I would have had my experience in the NBA, maybe later on, but who knows? And who knows if I would have ended up in Las Vegas? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like you never question anything in your life, because I promise you, you're going to have these full circle moments, and it's just going to feel like really liberating when you have like this, like, aha, like, this is why it was no in 2012, because it needed to be yes in 2016. So you could be here today in 2022 on this podcast. You see what I mean?
Exactly. And I think that's so important that you know, people think about. And it's hard when you're younger. I'm old as dirt, but like, when you actually have the perspective of like years past, you know what I mean? Like, this moment in time, you know, is one moment in time, and year to year, there's going to be different things that happen in your life, priorities shift, and everything really does make sense. But sometimes you just need to get, you know, 5 years down the road to look back and be like, oh,
for sure.
It was a good thing I didn't make the team, because I wouldn't have been able to do this, that, or the third, or, you know I wasn't actually ready, or there's different things, and it always makes
absolutely
sense.
And I just feel like it's like a mindset thing too, and I just know that I wouldn't be like the vet I am today or the captain I am today where I was at then, you know. It's like I said, like, we all have like our own insecurities, our own things that we're working through. And for me, it was really self-love at that time that I was just lacking, and not even realizing it, like how much I was lacking it, until this confidence boost came in 2016. But I couldn't be, you know, a good captain or a good vet to someone who might be struggling now with that same issue if I was also still going through it, you know? So
girl, preach. Like, I just, even from the last episode, and it was called Loving Myself, but self-love is really, it's just a topic that I feel like just isn't discussed enough, of like what that means. And maybe people have different ideals of it, or maybe people confuse what self-love really, really means when you actually feel that.
I'm here with you.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like this false sense of like, I'm confident and I'm just acting like I'm that person, but I don't really believe it.
No,
Truly,
you still have your highs and lows for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's the way how you just like process those emotions are really different, and you're able to check yourself. And I think that back in the day, I wasn't checking myself. Not that I ever felt entitled, but I would just get so caught up in like, oh, it's personal. Like, this is all personal. When like, really, it's not. It's just like sometimes it is what it is. Like, it's not personal, you know? And you also need to like check yourself in a sense of, am I doing everything I need to do outside of this to be where I want to be in that moment in time? And like, if I told myself then, of course I am. But when I look back at my auditions in 2012, like I was just talking to somebody about this. You know, everyone's so nervous going into this audition season. It's a lot of people's like first year going into their second year, right? Because a lot of people had that extra year last year, or the auditions weren't really what they usually are for us, like in person. So I feel like it was just like a different vibe than what it's going to be for this audition season being back in person. And I was telling them, I was like, honestly, I was so nervous, like so more nervous than I was the year before that. And I don't even know if the judges ever heard anything I said in my interview. Like, I remember like the cringy smile, like, that they're giving me, and I'm like thinking I'm answering these questions. I'm like, I don't even know if I smiled. Like, I don't know anything. And I just felt like at that time though, I'm like, I don't get it. I had a great audition, this and that, because again, I'm personally feeling like they're attacking me. Like, this has never happened to anybody before.
And you get defensive. You're so like in defend myself mode that you're not really actually looking at the truth or the validity of certain things because you're
no, 1,000%. Yeah, no, looking back, I can just see her now, like, like, you're probably slouching up there, like, all of the things. And I remember being so embarrassed, like I had mentioned earlier, like, just was off social media for 6 months. It was something I was never vocal about. Like, honestly, in 2012, I told people I was not at the audition, like, I chose to not re-audition. Like, this is how much, like, I just didn't think that it happened to people. Like, no one gets cut going into their vet year. Like, vets don't get cut. And that's the complete opposite. And I honestly didn't start being really vocal about my story probably until, like, in between 2015, 2016. And even then, still, like, if you knew, you knew. I couldn't lie about it, but if I could tell you I wasn't there, then I wasn't there. But I remember in 2017, one of my teammates was like, yeah, like, you were on Raiders before and you got cut, right? And I was like, oh, well, dang, like, does everyone know the truth? Like, and then from then on, I just felt like I had to just start owning my story because, one, it's public knowledge. Like, I'm sure you can find an audition photo of me in 2012 and be like, that's definitely you. Lie all you want. But there's beauty in your story. And I feel like the minute I started owning my truth, like I said in 2016, like, you've done all you can do. So if you can have this audition and walk away and it's still a no, you were yourself, and that's all that matters. And I feel like that's when I really started to just be vocal, like, we all have our own journeys. We all have our own paths. We're all here for a reason. And like, whatever happens next season, but own your truth. And I feel like once I started owning my truth, that's when I really started to become the person that I am today. Like, don't be embarrassed. It's okay. You know?
Let's drop the shame around like audition.
Yes. Can we please?
Some people post about their journey, or they're really, you're excited and you're just trying to get that good energy out there. And I do feel like people, curl into this shameful bubble. The shame should just be something that we let go of and not hold on to, because there's nothing to be embarrassed about. It is so freaking competitive. Like, the numbers game in and of itself is just really, really hard. And I just think people don't give themselves enough credit for showing up and going through the process and making it as hard as they do, because
1,000%.
The virtual game has like messed everything up. The numbers are all skewed and messed up. And we've got like way more people applying to be on these teams. So, I mean, I'm hopeful that people listening will take that into consideration, that there's no shame in it. You should be proud for going for it, and timing is everything, and it
really is
really for you, and it'll make sense later. It will absolutely make sense.
Always does.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I started to be more vocal, because there is that sense of shame, or just like this like negative connotation around being cut, and like this feeling of embarrassment and all of those ugly things that come with it. But it's also like it's growing too, you know, like you're able to then take this situation that happened and do something with it. Like for me, like I'm like, okay, back in the studio, like gotta try harder, you know, like, but not just to hear a yes, but for myself, you know. But I feel like that's where I adopted this whole feeling of, if I can walk out of an audition knowing that I did what I needed to do for it for myself, then that's enough. And then everything else is a bonus.
Yes. And there's so much like reward in that. Like I hope people really do feel that when you've worked your butt off and you know, maybe really like honed in on your skills, or you did something and you achieved something where you can say, look at where you started and see how you were able to show up for these auditions. There's so much to be proud of. And just in the fact that you've been able to grow and that you pushed yourself, you tried something. Maybe you put together a solo where you try things that you would never have tried before, or you know, there's different victories along this path that I hopefully people will.
And it needs to be talked about more. And I feel like it's not easy putting yourself out there with anything, right? I mean, like, I'm not on dating apps, but I'm sure, like, dating app, that's not easy. You know what I mean? Like, applying for that job is not easy. Well, auditioning is not easy. Like, just filling out the application already brings, like, I'm getting sweaty thinking about it. You know what I mean? Like, it brings its own number of nerves. And then to, like, get your audition outfit, like, wake up that morning, like, I am auditioning today. And I feel like that takes courage. That takes guts. That's a round of applause already in itself, because think about the women who apply and just can't get themselves out of bed to go, or are sitting. I mean, I'm definitely someone who will sit in my car in the parking garage at the gym because I just don't have it in me today. So I can only imagine how many little chickies are sitting in their car in the parking lot of an audition because they just don't have it in them that day. So I feel like we need to celebrate all of our wins, and that first win is applying, right? The second win is just showing up and getting out of the car and going in there.
No, you're so right. And I really hope that people feel encouraged by that, because it's not easy. It's like highly competitive process. And each step that you show up for yourself is a victory, big time. And just resting in that sense of like loving the work that you've put in, loving the person you're becoming as you're growing, and making friends even, or different things that you're growing through the process. There's just so much to fuel you to really feel good about. So there's no shame. No shame whatsoever.
I will say I am not the one who will post, like, once it's audition season, I'm already like not good about posting on Instagram as is. I told myself though, you got to get better. Then I will get better. But audition season, I'm like a ghost. Like I'm just out. I'm just like hyper focused, and I just like just because if it happens again, like I want to process on my own. So I'm not one who's like posting like 6 more days, like almost there. Morning, I'm here at auditions. But I love the people that do, because I wish that I had the courage to do so, but I just get need to soak in my own head. And we all like go through auditions differently. I don't think that the way how I go through it is any better or less than the next person, but I love the people that do, or the ones that are like taking pictures at auditions. I'm like in a box. I'm like, nobody talk to me. Like I am in my own little tunnel right now, and I just need to do the dance in my head 91 times, because if I don't do that 91 time, like I'm not going to do good. And but then I'll see like my other friends who are just like kikiing photos, all the things.
I remember that feeling. I would look at people who could just be that relaxed at auditions. Not that I wasn't trying to be friendly or make friends or have conversations, but I just was not that relaxed. Like I needed to focus. But seeing people just like taking selfies and just doing them, and it looks fun and great. And I'm like,
I enjoy watching them.
It's like, wow, we're just really relaxed here. But I like seeing it, because that's just that like eager excitement. Like you feel that energy when people are posting about these.
For sure.
Like nobody has to go through it the same exact way, but I'm with you. It's more like I'm in focus mode, and I'll definitely be pleasant and stuff, but I'm not that person.
I'll be nice. Like, in my corner. Or like in out the bathroom, like, oh, gotta go. And then after I'm done dancing, I'm like, hi, oh my God, how is everyone? Come. Still no photos, but let's hug. Like, let's chat.
It's only after you have performed at auditions that you can woosah enough to kind of like, okay,
for sure,
there are other people here. Okay, I can interact a little bit. So you were on the Raiderettes when they were in Oakland.
Yes.
This announcement of a move happens, and there was a big transition, I think, for just the team in general, the football team itself, the dance team as well. How did you go about like deciding that you were going to try to go for it with the team moving to Las Vegas?
Originally, I was actually a no. So at that time, I feel like the talk of us moving or relocating to Las Vegas started surfacing about, like, I want to say like 2018. I want to say like 2017, 2018, like we knew this move was going to happen. We thought it was going to happen in 2018. Didn't happen. But I will say in 2018 and 2019, I actually spent a lot of time in Las Vegas because we really started to be involved with the community here. And I remember 2019, I was out here like once a month just doing appearances. Any reason to get out of work, I was going. So I always was like, I love Vegas. Let's go. Let's do this. And it was always really fun just to, like, you know, I mean, Las Vegas, like their only sport is hockey here, right? So as we started to come more often, you really start to see the love of football, the NFL, Raiders really start to grow from like our first appearances until like the end of 2019. But I still was kind of a no. Like at that time, I'm like, okay, like I'm a 5-year vet. I'm getting older. Like probably just need to like shut it down. Like, I don't know, move on, do other things with my life. And then as the season really started to come to an end, I just had this feeling of like, I'm not finished, you know, like there's unfinished business there. And I feel like it really started to grow beginning of 2020. And I think for me, it was really, one, very selfish, wanted to have like my boots be one of the first boots to touch that field, Allegiant Stadium. Of course, it's gorgeous. Look at it. But really just to make sure that the traditions and the team that I know and loved at that time was still going to be there, and the girls here would get to experience what I've got to experience and why I fought so hard to get back on this team. Obviously, the team changes every single year. It's going to change drastically, clearly, you know, just being in Las Vegas, but just making sure that the traditions, the sisterhood that I knew, I wanted the girls here to have. And then, you know, once the world went all crazy, it was just like the sense of like, if we're able to audition, like just like seeing that we were just shut down for all of these months, like who knows what's going to happen, I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that was just like a sign of like, there's anything that you are trying to do and you're going back and forth on, let the pandemic be a sign. If you have the ability to do it, go do it. Right? Because who knows what's going to happen next. So I feel like it was a combination of just like this pandemic, Allegiant Stadium is beautiful, not wanting to be done, but really just wanting to make sure that this new team got to experience what our team has always known and loved. So I feel like those were like a combination of it. And then I only planned on being here until the end of 2020. I remember vividly being like, December, I'm out when the season's over. But then obviously we didn't have a season. So I'm like, well, no, I'm not going anywhere. So yeah, that's why I made a decision.
Yeah. Well, let me ask too, because I know 2020, you guys had such a beautiful social media presence. I was just like, well, nothing's going on, but I'm feeling the Raiderettes, like Instagram, like photo shoots. I just was like, it looks like it's popping enough.
We actually didn't see Allegiant Stadium until 2021. We got to do like a little tour before like all the things were like there. Obviously, like I don't think the grass was down. I think like everything was still being like set up as far as like the vendors and all of that goes in there. And then I don't think our locker room was where it is now. I could be wrong on that, but I don't recall that feeling yet. I feel like it was still like coming together. It just like wasn't there yet at the time that we did our quick tour. And the videos that you saw were actually shot outside of Allegiant, except for one. There was one that we did right up on the torch, like on the concourse, but that was really it. And that was all. And we actually didn't know that we weren't going to have like a season in the stadium until a couple days before. So we like set game day. I remember it was my line. That was going to be the line. We're going to like rotate, right? There's going to be no fans, but don't worry. Like we're going to find a way, have you girls in. You guys will be up where the torch is, one line at a time, like rotate it. And I'm like, cool. We're in there. And then like my line got to be the line that was like first. And I was like, woo, let's go line 2. And then a couple days before we got the email, like, sorry, like it's not happening. And I remember just like bawling my eyes out. Like I just felt so bad for my line. Like they were so excited. I felt bad for the team. Like this is what we all are here for. And like it just gets ripped from under you. And I just remember what else are we going to do? So that's when we really just like utilize social media to our advantage, and just would like get a lot of content out there, just because I feel like people still want to keep up with NFL cheerleading teams. I feel like, who are we? Like we're the cheerleaders for our community, and just really just trying to keep everyone in good spirits. Like this is what we have going on. But yeah, so it really wasn't much of anything.
That's why it was so cool that you guys kept the same squad, because there was such a great job with the marketing of like the the shots from like the swimsuit shoot, but you got a chance to kind of feature every girl on the team. And so there's really
the
like
lookbook.
great foundations, so that when the same squad came back, it's just like, I know these people, I'm familiar with them from seeing it. So great job to whoever was in charge of that, because I think
So that was a really cool, it was like a nice little Christmas gift for us, and they let us know that they're going to be rolling all of our contracts over. And I remember we had like a virtual Christmas party, and some of us are together like in the same apartment. Like, you don't want to have the Christmas party on Zoom by yourself. Like, no, thank you. So some of us got together and we're just like, hanging out. And then they had made the announcement on the Zoom call, and we're all like, wait. And I'm like, oh my, and I was with girls that were rookies at the time, and I'm like, you're a vet, like it's your second season. And it was just like really cool to like be with some of them, but it's just cool all around. Like, you just look at the Zoom call and everyone's just like jumping up and down, like there's all these freeze frames because so much is happening, and it was just really special. And I'm glad that we all got a real full season. And a lot of us, not myself, but a lot of the vets that weren't from here, or the girls that weren't like from Las Vegas that relocated, they all kind of went back home. So it was really nice to have a full real season with everyone, because realistically we only had about a month together in person. So
I remember when this whole move was up in the air and just talking about it, that was like this season of like what ifs and maybe this. I mean, I don't know, all my commentary was probably just really ridiculous at the time because nothing was clear. But I remember like speculating, like, I mean, when you're making decisions, everything was so up in the air. Your job's up in the air, whether you're going to be in the office, out of the office. You don't know if you're able to make that kind of a move, to another state. Like, there were just so many variables, and it would have probably driven me crazy. So, I mean, at least when a decision had been made, I could totally see people being like, you know what, okay, I'm going to move back to.
So for a lot of the girls, they actually were able to work remote with their jobs. So it just made sense to just be like, if I'm going to work remote, might as well go back home. For myself, I actually made the decision when I left Sacramento was to leave my job. I'm like, you're going to a whole new city. I've never lived out of the state before. Like, let's really just embark on this adventure, like really be invested 100% in it. Honestly, my job was low-key really toxic. Didn't want to bring that energy with me. So I'm like, peace. Like, any reason to get out, I'm out. So I didn't have a reason to go back to Sac. I'm like, there's no job for me there. Because I actually ended up working out here in Las Vegas with the job that I'm with today. Love them. But just, I'm like, I like living in Las Vegas. It was a little bit more open than Sacramento was. So I didn't mind it. But I was happy that they were able to, bring us all back and have everyone come back on over and just have a real season, because everyone deserved that across the NFL.
For sure. Nothing made me happier than to be able to have something to talk about. We just needed to be back in our own element. Like, that was a huge joy. So, like, one of the amazing things about your bio that I probably should have been like a 2-time Pro Bowler, but like, tell me about how you were selected as I guess for that year, what would have been, you guys call it, what is it?
Raiderette so that award is always called the Raiderette of the Year. So that'd be equivalent to like a team's cheerleader of the year. But I know for some teams, they'll have like a cheerleader of the year and then their Pro Bowler, but we actually have it in one. So it's always Raider of the Year. If you're selected, you get to represent the organization in the Pro Bowl. So I was really shocked. I mean, like I said, we'd only had about a couple of months together in person. Obviously, we've had this virtual world for months, like ever since, the team was announced. We were on Zoom, like, what's up? This is who I am. Hopefully you like me. Hopefully you can see me. Always like moving the camera up and down. But that was really it. And then, of course, just like with me staying in Las Vegas, I think I was able to build relationships with the girls just being here. But the way how our award works is the team actually selects. So we have a vote. That year, I believe we voted on the computer. It's just like a quick little, who do you want to be Raider of the Year? Who do you want to be Dancer of the Year and Rookie of the Year? So those are our 3 awards that we announced at the game. And so I actually found out on a Zoom call. It was like one of our last Zoom calls where they announced the award winners. And thank God I was with some of my friends like on the team. It's just been weird just to be by myself, but you just feel so many things. Like I just have never saw myself ever receiving any award. And I would like to think nobody comes onto a team like, I'm gonna make this team and I'm gonna get this award and I'm gonna go to Pro Bowl and all of the things. Like you just want to be on the team. And like for me, I just want to be on the team. Like I want to be on that field. Like I want to be in the community. That was always been enough. Like always hearing my number was enough. So to have this brand new team, it was just really special because we are a team of 20 rookies and at the time 12 vets. So it's a new team. So to have these 20 new women see me as someone that they can like look up to or someone that they think embodies what it means to be a Raiderette, it's just insane to me, you know? Like I think about the Raider of the years before myself and I'm just like, goals, you know, just everything about them, just check. I want to be that. I inspire to be that. But I'm just me. Like I don't think I'm anything special. I'm just myself. And yeah, I don't know. So that recognition was enough for me. Like obviously I didn't get to go to Pro Bowl that year. There's really nothing more to it. But I think just having that title means so much more than doing anything with it, just because your team sees you as that, and that was just super special to me. To have my name with these other women like on our awards wall and our locker room, like that. I mean, you see those names, like me too. They're just like big names that you look at, and I'm just like, what is Shaniah Randall doing on this awards wall? So my team selected me that year. Thanks, guys. Super special. And then going into 2021, same thing. We were all kind of wondering, like, what are we going to do with that? And I'm just like, now everyone's a vet. There's no rookies anymore. Like anyone would have done an amazing job at Pro Bowl and any one of them could have gone to Pro Bowl, right? Like anyone could have gotten selected because everyone's considered a vet at this point. So to be reselected by my team, I don't really think I will ever find the words to like thank them. I would get really emotional thinking about it, but it's just really a privilege, I think, and an honor just to know like where I've came from. And like 2021, that was 10 years ago for my rookie season. So to look back at her and be like, look at all that you've done and all that you overcome, and to be able to impact so many different women along my journey is everything.
Oh my gosh. Has that been done before? Did you make history a little bit with the
Everyone keeps saying that. I should probably do my research. I really don't know, but I feel like yes, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Weird things were happening. Like 2020 Raider of the Year, then going into 2021, my team was really nice. Like our coaching staff, I didn't get a sash, obviously. So they put together a really nice 2020 sash for me, and they gave it to me at the Monday Night Football game. And during that game, I bring all this up to say I was a Raider of the game also. So they like bring out my magazine. I'm like, oh, like already emotional because I'm like, I'm Raider of the game. Like that's so special. And they're like, but wait, there's more. Then there's like the sash. And then they're like, also in your article, our manager Bailey, she writes like it's really nice words about each of the girls that are selected. I know, she's amazing.
I was lucky enough to sit next to her and Tiff, and I just said, it touches me every single time. Like I'm literally like pinching and zooming so I can read every single word. It's such a beautiful tribute to the dance.
She does a beautiful job, and just really just like highlights like the best about that woman or just anything that's like going on. Like the stories are just amazing, and I hope that everyone just like frames their story because it's so beautifully written. But in my story, she actually let me know that I was also the Wanetta Horton Award recipient. So that's our 4th award that we announced for the season, and it's announced during our banquet. So that is in honor of Wanetta Horton, who's a previous Raiderette years ago who ended up passing away, but her teammates know her for her faith, her love of Raiders, her love of her teammates, just all of the above, and just a really inspirational woman. So it's actually, it's considered like the most inspirational award. So then I found out that same game, getting my sash, Raider of the game, she's like, oh yeah, you're also the recent Wanetta Horton recipient. And I was like, could drop to my knees. So yeah. So I don't know. I feel like I made a little bit of history. I just don't know what is the history, but it's insane nonetheless.
Yes. No, it's so exciting. I mean, to have all of that. And you're so humble. I mean, it's not like you said, it's not about the awards, but just it is humbling to know that people hold you in such high esteem and that you've earned the respect of your teammates in that way and that you've inspired so many people and these are just your teammates. We're not even talking about like the greater dance community, but I'm just so excited. I was like I had something invested in this, but I was just kind of like, what happens to the people? There were a few other teams that kind of did some sort of selection for Pro Bowl last year.
Yeah, so the Buccaneers girl, she actually was the one that was selected with me in 2020, and then she was able to, I'm not sure if she was reselected or if her director was like, you going, girl. But there was a couple other girls who were not, but they were so supportive of their teammate that was selected. So it's just a beautiful community to be in. I feel like everyone, regardless of what your journey is going to bring to you, whether you get an award or you don't, or you go to Pro Bowl or you don't, I feel like we're so fortunate enough across the NFL to have women that are supporting you, cheering you on, even if it's not them. And I feel like that's all that you can ever really want, being on a team. So.
And your team showed up and showed out for you. Okay.
Did they?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I know it was easy for the Vegas cheerleaders.
I know it was easy for the Raiderettes, absolutely. But I know these women, and I feel like if I would have ended up in I don't even know, Thailand, they'd be like, all right, let's go.
Every year in Florida when it was there, you guys roll deep to Pro Bowl. The team shows up, and this is West Coast all the way down to Orlando, Florida, and they make it happen to support their girl. And I mean, it just had me hyped. I was like, she has to feel so darn good.
I can honestly say, so I feel like, we're not perfect. We have moments of where we're getting in our heads, right? Now I'm with the best of the best in the NFL. These women are gorgeous, talented, humble. I look at my Pro Bowl cheer team and I'm like, these are the underdogs. These are the ones who are the silent leaders, the silent assassins. They just come, they just they're the silent leaders. You know what I mean? They lead by example. They don't have to be the loudest in the room or any of that, but they are bomb. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Just having these weird moments. And I remember Tuesday we had this 8-hour practice all day long. I felt fine, but of course sometimes your nerves get the best of you. Leading up into Pro Bowl, I'm like, are we sure? Are you sure you want me to represent you all? Let's think about this here. Just having these doubts that they're so natural to have, and I don't think it makes me any less grateful. I just feel like it's just natural, And then Wednesday was the skills showdown. We had about an hour practice. That practice, I was just not my best. You make one mistake, you're in your head the rest of the hour practice that it was. So I'm in my hotel room, supposed to be getting ready. I already had my makeup on from earlier. I had an appearance. So I'm just sweating. I'm like, you're running everything. You're not leaving this hotel room until you have it down, right? Just very not nice to myself in this moment. So then we get there, and I remember Carly, she was with the Ravens. She was like, hey girl, you were in your head earlier, huh? I was like, a little bit, you could tell. She's like, yeah, I usually watch you, but I had to look away because you're over here messing up. And I was like, dang. And she was like, yeah. She's like, what's up? She's like, I remember when I had posted my line, some of my teammates were like, oh my God, the Raiders girl's in your line. She's so talented. She's so pretty, this and that. And I'm like, gosh, this team doesn't know me at all. And I realized in that moment that I'm so used to being everyone else's cheerleader that I forgot how to cheer myself on, And she just reminded me that I needed it too. And I think it was the first time I was forced to only think about myself. I think about my line first. I think about my littles, think about the team. I think about everything else before I think about me, right? As long as everyone else around me is good, I'm good. But then all I had was myself to think about. So it was nice to be checked. Oh yeah, you're right. What am I stressing about? And then we go out there, and the first two dances, it was just us, just the fans. No one else was there. But we had to keep coming back in, though, because it was freezing in Las Vegas this night. We come up for the third dance, and I, literally see my teammates, running from one side to the other side because they were on the wrong side, and just, screaming, hollering, I remember we were dancing to Beggin', and my eyes were so watery on this part because I was just so overwhelmed with emotion of wow, this is why you're here, because these women selected you to be here to represent this organization. And it was the first time I allowed myself to feel proud of myself because it was such a privilege and an honor to be their teammate and to be their representation. And I don't think I've ever been like proud of myself before. You know, like you make teams, you're like, yeah, you did that. But like to really be proud of yourself, I haven't experienced that. And I don't know, it was just really cool. Like they're cheering me on, but I'm like, yeah, like y'all look great. Like I'm cheering them on. And it kept everyone, like all of us were tired. We did all of our dances that night. We're doing them back to back. And I remember the girls were like, if you're Shaniah, I'm Shaniah. Like they kept them going. And I'm like, this is literally why I love this team so much, because like they will always be your biggest cheerleaders. They're always going to keep you going. They're never going to let you fall. And they're going to cheer everybody on, like teammate or not. So
yes. Oh, their energy. I was supposed to be there so much earlier, and I had to kind of change and come just for the game, which was really heartbreaking. But just watching the videos and just how, that's what I love about our community so much, is like that we cheer each other on, and just listening to the girls like screaming for you. Like it was just so
they were losing their voices. I would hear it back and I could like hear their voices like being gone. And they showed up to everything, like every single day. They're like, where are you gonna be at? We're there, with like signs, just I don't know. I didn't even realize like how much, you know, like you have these moments where you're like, I don't matter. You know what I mean? Like during the season, you're just like, I'm the captain. Like, you know, no one's talking to me. Like I don't fit in. But that's when I always say it. We're like, we don't fit in with this new team. And it was like the first time where I'm like, you matter. Like you matter to these women, and these women matter to you. And like, I tell them all the time, I was like, it never felt like my Pro Bowl. It felt like our Pro Bowl. Like we all did that together. So.
Oh, that's beautiful, Shaniah. Like, and this is all energy that like you can totally pick up on as a spectator sitting in the stands. I mean, I love seeing, like, you know, between the Arizona Cardinals cheerleaders showing up with the red wigs.
The wigs. I was like, y'all gonna get wigs? Look at me. Come on. Y'all can get brown hair. Like the wigs were everything. That was so cute. I love that they did that. And they showed out too. Like so special.
Yes. It's amazing to see, and I think everybody deserves that kind of like just love and support and encouragement. It's your biggest moment, and I mean, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I wish I could have been there for more of it, but it was so watching, and I love that you guys got to shine so well during the halftime. Like I went on and on about the halftime, but like
that was a surprise. That was really cool for us too.
I think when there's a musical artist, you know, you kind of see things moving around, or like the women moving around the stage, but it's not really like featured.
No, we were like in there, like involved.
I loved it. No,
it was really cool. And I remember there was like a moment where, you know, they were telling us, like our directors with E2K, like, hey, you know, there's a chance we can highlight, you know, 5 women. And he's like, well, we don't really like to separate you guys, so we really want to leave it up to you guys if you are okay with like, you know, 5 girls being selected to dance on the stage at the Jabberwockies. And it was like, put your head down, like raise your hand if you're like okay with that. And I don't know if everyone put their hands up or not. I mean, we all had our heads down, but they're like, all right, you know, majority vote rule. And I'm like, heck yeah, like 5 of you bosses to be up there dancing at the Jabberwockies. Like that is so cool. And again, like that just goes to show like our community, like it doesn't matter if it's you or if it's not you, like who cares? Like we're here to uplift each other. If there's a moment where like one can be highlighted, like let them, you know? And it was cool to be like behind the stage, like look at them go. Like watching the Jumbotron. Like I had fun doing that.
They killed it. I felt so bad that I couldn't remember everybody that was up there, but like the Texans, the Tampa Bay, Dallas, I feel like.
Yeah. Panthers, like, Cowboys, Colts, all of them murdered it.
One of my favorite, I think, well, I haven't seen all of the thing on halftimes, but I was really impressed.
No, it's okay. It was my favorite. I think I can say
that. Well, what was the highlight for you of Pro Bowl week?
I mean, I feel like I have so many highlights. I feel like it's so interesting because I think when people are like asking you about like you on a pro team, like is it catty? Do you guys get along? And like these are my best friends. Like these women are going to be in my wedding, you know. And it's such a unique experience that there's no reason why you guys can't be close. Like you guys have the same goals. Not everyone's going to be your best friend, but like it's a safe environment, right? Yeah. And I feel like with Pro Bowl, like you guys are just like instant friends. You know what I mean? Like there's no you're just happy to be here. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is so interesting. So I feel like just like meeting women in the NFL that their team sees as like their person, it's really cool. And to know that like you guys are one. I don't know. It's just so interesting to me to have that dynamic and for us to be like forced together and for it to be so beautiful and just organically created. So I definitely, making 24 beautiful new friends. Hopefully they love me back. But I mean, other than that, I just think having like my family, having my friends, having my teammates, I mean, literally shout out to the Raiderettes there at everything, which was really big for me. And I mean, just looking into the Winfield Club, I feel like we would all notice like when we like saw each other and just like I'm jumping up and down, like they're jumping up and down, and it's just like you just like feel their energy, and there's just no way you're gonna have a bad game, right? You have all these people rooting for you. But I feel like icing on the cake, not to be selfish, but I just didn't know how much Raider Nation really loves their cheerleader. So I will say it was really cool coming out during pregame for like my little 1-8 count, and I was not expecting like the stadium to erupt the way it did, and I was like, wow, like this is Raider Nation, like we're here, and like that was really cool. I feel like that's like my selfish, top moment.
We won't even call it selfish. It's just your moment to be like, yes, that was.
Yeah.
I mean, between your picture being up on.
Oh God, I totally forgot about that. Like, what am I doing on the side?
Credit all the way. Like that was beautiful to see.
That was really cool. That was like my New York moment. Like I am on a billboard.
That's Times Square. That's even bigger than Times Square. Like that is the huge panel. I thought that was so special. Yeah, they were really cool. I just think there was just so much pride. I think for it being in your city as a host and being able to show the girls the locker room and just all of the things that just made it like.
Gosh. Yeah, we have a lot to be proud of, like on this team, like where we came from. Oakland. I always say Oakland built character. Like. But we deserved a little bit more in the locker room, So to be where we are now, like we have our own studio that we get to practice in, and I got to share that space with my Pro Bowl cheerleaders teammates, and then I got to share headquarters with them, and then the locker room. Like what? Like these are just things that like you just never, you can't even dream of, Obviously, I'm still very much on a high.
I was about to say, how do you even come down from that? Like
you don't. I feel like this grin has been on my face for like 3 months, like always grinning. Like life is just great.
When you also have all those amazing cute outfits that you have that would they would be like hanging up constantly.
When I say that, I'd like wear the sweatshirt like literally every week. Like our Pro Bowl sweatshirt from the lineup. Thank you so much. Pro Bowl ring like never comes off. Just like. Just bleeding Pro Bowl right now. And yeah, all of our outfits. I need to figure out how I'm gonna like what I'm gonna do with my uniform. Like
I'm gonna treat it like the basketball players do, where they put their jersey in one of
those
cases.
No, I am. When I get a house, I'm gonna have like a room just like a Raiderette room. Like this is me. When I have children, I'm like go in mommy's room. Look at mom's life before you. Like that's my plan.
Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of future plans, what is next for you? I mean, it is audition season. You do not have to disclose because, we know we don't.
No worries. I pride myself on being very vocal. So I think I've been very vocal on this. That was my last hoorah at the Pro Bowl, which I think is the best way I could have gone out. Personally, yep. Okay. Yeah, so that was the end for me. Honestly, I am privileged enough to say that the Raiders have given me so much. I mean, 7 incredible seasons, as rocky as they were, like they were the best years of my life, right? Like Raider of the Year 2 times, like I got to go to Pro Bowl, like for myself, like not just cheering my teammates on, like once in a lifetime experiences, but also I just feel like I've got to be a captain multiple years in a row and really just bring what Raiderettes means to me to a brand new city. It just feels like it'd be selfish to continue to keep coming back. And I feel like stepping away is going to give somebody else on the team a chance to step up and be that captain, that seasoned vet. And also, I personally feel like teams typically pick girls who look like past girls. So I know somewhere someone has a face like mine, and she's like, if you come back one more time, so I'm gonna let her have her moment, and I'm gonna step aside. It just like I said, it seems really selfish to keep coming back when they've given me so much. Like there's nothing more I could gain aside from just like, now I'm coming back for selfish reasons, like put me in the halftime, you know what I mean? Like keep me on Instagram, like just like I have to close this chapter. And it's so interesting. it feels okay to close the book. Like I like can physically see myself closing a book and putting it in a bookshelf. Like the book is done, you know? There's nothing unfinished there. Now, I will say I don't think I want to step away 100% from this world. If there's a way that I can be involved, like I want to be involved in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that looks like yet, but as far as my white boots on that green grass until a reunion,
Why are you getting
that's
all
it.
like?
No, you don't need to cry. I cry every day.
I don't even know where it's coming from. I just think you have such a beautiful story, and
Thank you.
I can relate to just like just your heart being full, you know, and when you reach that point of you've given and you've received, and it's just been this beautiful, not that every moment's like amazing all the time, but you just have this like, it's just something that allows you to be able to close that.
Yeah, I remember I was talking to someone at work about that. They were asking me, and they're like, what does that feel like? They're like, you know, when you think about yourself and like the goals that you have, once you achieve that goal, you're like, okay, what's next? Okay, what's next? And he's like, but like, there is no next. Like, what is that like? And I was like, honestly, it's kind of like a relief. Like, like you can finally just like, I don't know, like just like relax, you know, I'm not stressing about an audition. Like now I can speak life into other people, you know what I mean? Without also having to speak life into myself. Like, you know, so I mean, it sucks. And I know like I go back and forth, like to be like transparent, I still go back and forth every single day about it. But I know that I will be okay being done because I know that there's more for other people. Like there's going to be a captain that really gets a chance to like step up now that the season vets are out. You know what I mean? Like they deserve that. And I deserve to be in the Winfield Club cheering them on, you know, living my best life. Okay. I had FOMO. You can come. We'll go to a game together.
Yes. Next time I come to a Raiders game, I need to figure out.
Let's do it. Tiff, hook it up.
I do think that's a beautiful perspective to have as well, because I know that sometimes, you know, and even this year's Pro Bowl class, I feel like there were some girls that had been on the team, ladies that had been on the team for 8 years or different lengths of time.
Terry with Vikings, she's been on the team for 8 years. There's a lot of like 6-year vets, 7-year vets. Yeah, there was a lot of us. And I feel like it's kind of split. I feel like some of them are going back and some of us are like, nope, we're done. And some of them are like considering other teams. So it's pretty interesting to see like what's going to happen. But I feel like we're all on different paths now.
There's, you know, a couple different paths, like you said, that you can go with it. But I do appreciate the perspective that you just named, because these spots are just so limited and nobody should be forced out before they feel like I'm done. But you know, it's nice to have that perspective of just, I'm going to free up a space for somebody to have their dreams come true too. You know, like
for sure. And not to say that space was always mine, you know, but I feel like, you know, I like to say that that's my spot. I was just keeping it warm. Yeah, here you go.
I knew it was going to be like this once we finally got to talk. Like, just
good vibes. This is only the beginning. I mean, we're rookie sisters, basically. Similar journeys, and like what a beautiful platform to have and be able to, you know, share other stories that really can impact the dance community. And I will say someone did reach out to me that was on a different team after I had posted a video like going to my second season to Pro Bowl Cheerleader, and she's like, oh my God, like seeing that like makes me want to try again. And I'm like, try again. Like it's your story. You decide when it's over. Like no offense, but not these teams, you know, like you decide. And that could be like, maybe you still hear no the next year, but like you felt good about it. You know what I mean? So hopefully she does. If you're listening, you know you are. Do it. Try out.
Hearing these stories does, I feel like it just makes a difference, because with all the downloads and whoever's following, whoever's listening, I know it resonates with at least one person. And that's what keeps me going. Like people, I think we follow everybody on social media, but really feeling like you're getting a deeper glimpse into who they are and what their struggles were or how they overcame different things. It absolutely is inspiring. And so, I mean, I'm just so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here. Finally. Like I said, it's an honor to sit and chat with you and share my story, hear your story, and just, you know, chit chat, girl time. Finally.
I know your chats. I mean, we'll have to just like randomly request you or something when I go
Oh,
live.
I love that you go live. We need that.
Oh.
Like, we have to keep the conversation going, whatever the conversation is about. So,
well, seriously, Shaniah, thank you for your time and just sharing your amazing story of just triumph and loving yourself and
resilience.
Yes, resilience, big time, and just how it all worked out so beautifully for you. Congratulations on all your
Thank
success.
you.
And I just feel like I just want to hug you. I don't know.
I know, virtual air hugs. It was so good to finally chat. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Like I said, it's literally an honor to be on your show, your podcast. I've been listening to you for years now. Dream come true. I've just been checking all these boxes off this year. It's so weird. But thank you so much for having me and just allowing us dancers to have a voice in this pro world where we don't always feel like we have one. So thanks for creating a safe space for all of us.
Well, thank you.
We appreciate you.
Podcast. Thank you so freaking much. It means the world, and it's people like you that keep me beaming and excited and happy to talk about our space. And it's almost like you're like having this extension of your passion when you see it really living and thriving in somebody else. And like that's what I've felt watching you. It's just like,
thank you.
I
think everyone was living their best lives that day. It felt so good.
It's awesome.
Thanks so much for listening to the Pro Cheerleading Podcast. You can follow your favorite podcast on social media at Pro Cheerleading Podcast on Instagram, at Pro Cheer Podcast on Twitter. We're on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can support your favorite podcast on Patreon. Until next time, keep your eyes on the sidelines.